This is on Sycamore, looking at that building C, because of the elevation to get the sewer into the existing sewer system. The building needs to be up 18 inches from the adjacent sidewalk grade. So we do need to provide a couple steps and a ramped access up to the entries on the west side of this building. So that's what we're looking at here. But we do want to try and still connect those residents to this large-ish green space here where we're keeping these trees. So we're, giving some steps down to that, and hopefully they'll get some utility out of that green space. Next. This is on Thayer, looking at building B, I believe.
Sycamore.
Sorry, Sycamore. Yeah, the entry off Sycamore into the parking lot, and then the sort of, residential style front yard. Next. That should be it. Yep.
All right. Thank you all for your time and attention. We appreciate the opportunity to present this project and to continue in this conversation.
Thank you very much. Do you want to stay here while Connor presents?
Sure. Yeah, Connor McCormick for the record, Office of Planning and Building. I'll just add a few additional comments. I think the applicant's team covered the design and layout pretty well. Just to note again that this is an application for both design and site plan review and for 2 special permits. I think notably this is or one of the first applications that is being reviewed under the updated design and site plan review bylaw that was approved at the June annual town meeting. So this is categorized as a level 4 or a major design and site plan review project for having 140 dwelling units, 61 parking spaces, and 124,000 gross floor area. Also noting, and as the applicant did, that this is the zoning, the applicable zoning for this district is a multifamily housing overlay district, sub-district MOZ 3A. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first project to come forward under the MBTA overlay, or the 3A overlay district.
Second.
Yes, so they covered that. Just to touch on the special permit requests again, the first request is for a reduction in the number of bicycle parking spaces. By my calculation, a total of 98 would be required. They are proposing 34. Again, the applicant proposed or noted that due to the anticipated population of the residents there, it's unlikely that they would be fully utilized, but they are providing more indoor long-term bicycle parking storage than is required. So I think staff feels pretty comfortable with that rationale. The second special permit request is for the 2 entrances, one being from Thayer Street, one from Sycamore Street. The bylaw does require that you have one primary front lot line entrance for vehicular access. And again, this is a little bit of a unique situation or condition because there are 2 existing curb cuts. They are proposing basically to keep the one onto Sycamore Street, the one onto Thayer is being shifted about 20 or 30 feet. But again, given the site constraints, I feel staff feels pretty comfortable with that special permit request. And just a note to the board in terms of quorum and voting, the design and site plan review is a simple majority vote, and the 2 special permits is a supermajority vote, and the associate member can vote on those 2 items. I don't know, not sure, I might have missed it, if the applicant team noted they did do a traffic analysis that was included with the application submittal. They noted that it will have an insignificant impact to the levels of service from the surrounding roadway network as compared to what is there currently. Staff reviewed it and didn't have any issues with that traffic analysis as submitted. The proposed parking is in excess of what is required in the sub-district. Again, the units will be included on the town's subsidized housing inventory, which will result in a net gain of 60 units for the town. To note what else, I'd say generally in review of the design and site plan review standards and criteria, which again, these are new as of June last month for design and site plan review. Staff generally feels that they've met the requirements and the criteria that are outlined in the new bylaw. No waivers were identified or requested, and none were identified by staff. We did include the standard conditions in your packet for consideration and a number of special conditions. Those can be adjusted as we move through discussion. I will note fire, Belmont Light, and the health department did provide comments on this. The applicant was able to respond to provided responses to comment to fire and Belmont Light, and I haven't heard any feedback from those two departments. So I think they appear to be satisfied with the applicant's responses. We do have a condition, or the health department did provide comment about some feedback they received from butters regarding a rodent issue currently on the site. So we do have a condition proposed that a rodent management plan be included as part of the construction for this site. So we're hoping that would take care of that issue. I think I'll leave it there unless there's anything that.
Would you mind talking about how they met the pre-application steps as well?
Sure. We did meet in January of this year with the development review team, which is a group that includes a number of town staff, where the applicant presented a draft plan set that allowed staff to provide a range of comments. And I do appreciate I think we all appreciate that the applicant was able to make a lot of the changes that staff had comments or issues or questions on. And I think the plan that was submitted to the board reflects a lot of, or basically all of the changes that we brought up at that time.
Excellent. It's working. The process is working.
Yeah, I'll leave it there unless there's any questions for staff.
So does the board have any questions on this at this time? Do you have any questions?
I guess I just have one question on the bike parking. I understand that we don't need 98 spots given the target population, but does the 34 is indoor and outdoor, or is it 34 outdoor and then additional inside?
It's 22 interiors, permanent, 12 outside. There's 6 on Thayer Road and there's 4 on Sycamore by each of the buildings. So there's 2 by building B, the phase 2 small building. There's 2 bike parking outdoor by building C, and the remaining 6 outdoors is by the major building, the main mid-rise, was 22 interior permanent inside a protected room.
Could I follow up on that?
Yeah.
The interior space where you have the 22, they're in the main building.
Yes.
And what entrance are they adjacent to, and are they close to elevators, common areas?
They're roughly midway if we go to back or on the plan. They're roughly they're toward the end of the second entrance of the building, of the main building. Immediately to the right, they're accessible on the outside. They're undercover. They're protected. And so in terms of the elevator, they're at the same distance away from the second main entry into the building.
Thank you.
Can you show us that on the plan, please?
And will residents of any of the buildings have access to the indoor bike parking?
It's from the exterior.
Yeah, if you just go to that slide 17.
17?
Yeah, slide 17 can do it. So you'll see that the bike parking is located here for the indoors. This is the second view or second entry. Primarily the parking area off here, residents will enter this way. there's the main entry here, elevators in the middle. And then there's 6 outdoor bike parking along there. There's 2 outdoor bike parking here. There's 2 outdoor bike parking. That's over there. Sorry, 4. There's 4.
Four for
My
buildings.
bad, yes.
Do you have any more questions?
How many family units?
20.
20 family units.
Well, any more questions?
No.
So I have a quick question about the trash room in the big building and how a truck pulls up on the street to get all the trash out of there. I mean, you provided a nice sort of spot for cars to pick up, but then I can imagine the trash truck sitting out there blocking the street. So I think it's great you were able to put trash inside the building and sort of manage it from there. But you'd think you'd even need a path to the,
Yeah, you can go to like 20 might be better.
okay, so that shows.
This is the trash recycling area for the main building, the 120 units. The goal here is that trash will be, there's a trash compactor, there's a trash chute on every floor. There's 2 2-yard dumpsters was in spare, and then that is being then pushed out through this hardscape, trash being picked up here and then being pushed back.
Okay,
So that's for the main building. The 2 family sites will have a trash enclosure, trash will be picked up, whether I think that's off their rows or off. It's a private collection at this point, for ownership are still being worked out.
thank you. So if we don't have any more questions for tonight, what I would like to do is continue the case to August 4th. And at that time, we will open it up for public comments and questions. So may I hear a motion?
Motion.
Okay. So do we need to be more specific than that?
Motion to continue the hearing to on split
Second.
points.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So our next case is a continued public, well, I'll wait till everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Hey there, everyone.
Hi, so our next case is number 26-15, a special permit at 7 Broad Street in the SRC zone. It's continued from July 7th. So I'd like to open that. So at our last meeting, you were going to look into the potential of removing the 2 dormers. Was
Yeah.
sort of-
We've made some other small changes too, yeah.
Do you want to show those, please?
Yeah, it's in the.
To get that. Here.
And
This is the updates,
Yeah,
7 broad architectural updates.
I think the other document has both like updated set and the highlights that I made. That one might be better to pull up.
Okay. So that would be 7/2026 drawings. So let's try to increase the size of that a little bit.
thank you.
Tell me where you want me to go.
Okay, yeah, you could start up, you could start up on page.
Not up yet.
Sorry?
I think you still gotta.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the updated set that I have, and then I highlighted some of the changes that I made just to make things a little bit easier. And then on the subsequent pages, I've also kept the plans, you know, in full scale so that you can actually look at them more in depth. Right away, you'll notice that the dormers are gone. The left is the original that you guys saw 2 weeks ago. And then the right is obviously those being removed. We've also listened to some public comment about windows. So we've added or expanded a lot of the glazing on the property. You'll notice that a window is added on that, looks like the left side elevation. And then we've also expanded windows back by the living room. And then up above, you can see the left side elevations where that dormer is removed. And then it was a little bit tricky because there's a bathroom behind those windows, but we finagled the bathroom layout in a way to kind of make it more uniform with the windows on that left side. So we were able to add 2 double hung windows there as well. And then, do you think you could scroll down? Do you mind?
I really appreciate this side-by-side comparison. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's easy for me. That's.
We should ask for this more often.
And then you'll see the rear view right here, which shows the dormers before and after. And then very big difference with the windows. We were able to expand a lot of them to get a lot more natural light in there. And it's kind of a subtle detail too, but you might notice that we've added a water table piece of trim to the bottom part of the property, surround, you know, going around. And then we've also increased the corner boards to kind of make it look more kind of more in style with how a lot of people are building homes these days. And then we're probably going to add a frieze board above the gables or below the gables as well. But yeah, that's mostly it for now.
Can I ask, why did you shrink the windows on the bottom one? Oh, with a little, all the way to the right, you have like one small window where you had 2.
Are you talking about above
Above that door on the right?
Yeah, so that's because my architect had to put the shower there. So there was 2 double hungs there. So we basically traded 2 double hungs there and no windows on that right side. So 1 window there, 1 double hung there, and then 2 on the other side. So it's a little bit tricky with the bathroom there.
Right.
With the shower, you can't really, you're limited, but we were able to move it around in such a way to gain 2 double hung windows. I guess you subtract 1 on that rear side, but I think it makes it look more uniform on that that left side elevation. So.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions, comments?
You can scroll down to if you want to see the bigger, a few more pages down. Yeah.
So, Dan?
What does this bring the square footage to?
Do you mean the above grade? Like
Update.
including any,
Both the dormers.
about 29 and change, 2950.
From 4,100 to 4,300?
Are you talking about the gross?
Yeah.
It's gonna reduce it by about 200 square feet. Yeah.
Any more questions, comments? No? Do you think we're ready for a vote?
Any public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, public comments on this? Is there anyone online?
Stop sharing.
I know.
Nothing online.
Yeah, I see hands raised. Okay, well, I would move that we approve case 26-157 Broad Street with the redesign addition that addresses our comments.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks.
All right, so our next case that's continued is 26-16, 4547 Chestnut Street. And we appreciate all the comments and questions we've received from the public. The planning board can only weigh in on matters related to the zoning bylaw. So there have been a number of other issues brought up that are not zoning, and they have to be addressed by the town engineer and the Office of Planning and Building. Outside of this hearing, as they fall under their authority, but not the board's authority. We've we've been strategizing on how to proceed with a review, because there have been some conflicts in the drawings and what's on the ground. So we are not confident of the dimensions and would feel more comfortable if we had a peer review recheck the as-built to what the drawings, the as-built, and the zoning bylaw to ensure conformance with the zoning bylaw. This is sort of something new we've come up with today, so it's sort of been a change of approach. I think we've just been hearing a lot of comments that have put some of the dimensional information, made it less clear.
In question.
In question.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think it's probably a wise idea, given the number of issues that have emerged initially with the width that was added to the one side, the issue of the windows, and also the eave height. I believe that Madam Chairman, you had identified a few days ago when we had a staff meeting. In addition, there may be some questions about the building height as it relates to the zoning bylaw. And there were some errors that were provided in both packets, both the original packet in 2015 and the 2016 packet, which identified the permitted building height as 35 feet versus the 33 feet that the general residence district allows. So I think these things in combination, I think at staff level, and I think we've conveyed this to the chair, that we would be more comfortable if we had an external peer review, just double check everything to make sure that everything was being provided appropriately, that the two sets of plans were provided appropriately, and then the bylaw was being adhered to, and then the actual on-the-ground building itself was meeting that as well. So all these things together, in our opinion, at the staff level, it would be wise to just put this off a little bit longer so we could have that review for our comfort level, and hopefully for the comfort level of the public and the board as well.
Thank you. Is that something you'd be amenable to working with us on? Since,
I mean, if you want to come up to the table, please.
Sorry. I left something heavy.
uh-oh,
I am with the public and also with the city, so I have no objection with anything. We build exactly what we have in the plan. You can come measure the height, the width. The width is only with that 11 inches that we talked about it. The windows, I know, was my wife idea. She said, why don't you do so the same symmetrical? We have three windows. And the attic, we have only one long window. And the plan we was discussing, said she was thinking to get one unit on this. And she said, why don't you just make it three windows? I said, you know something? I don't think so. We have a problem with that. But if there's an issue with the windows, I wouldn't compromise. I have no problem with that.
well, I think what happened is the windows at the half story, the roof got raised, so then it was livable square feet. So then that needed to be recalculated. And then the second floor is bigger because the first floor got bigger, so everything sort of grew a little.
Yeah, the second
And we've
floor-
had a new set of drawings and everything's just really close to the allowed dimensions. And I think we'd feel better if they were just checked.
Absolutely.
Let me just explain to you what a peer review process is, because it's probably not something you fully understand. Peer review would be an external consultant that we would hire to come in and look at the two sets of plans, look at our bylaw, and look at the building on site. And they would come up with an independent evaluation for us. And so it's to make sure that everything is done appropriately. It's for your comfort level, it's for the public's comfort level and the board. And so this would take a couple of weeks, but we think it's an important thing to make sure that everything is being done exactly as it needs to be done.
Okay, so at the same time, the moment now can install my windows without the attic one, so I can leave those windows because my windows on the floor now. So can we close the windows for the first floor, the second floor?
The analysis is only going to determine whether what you've got right now on the ground is appropriate for the zoning that we have. And then make sure that the plan reflects that as well. That's all we're trying to do.
I'm not sure which those, other than the third floor and maybe that one back section, impact the dimensions.
No, they don't. And the board has to have a separate comfort level with the placement of the windows. But as you see in several of the memos that I've written you, that was something that actually I had recommended in the first meeting. So perhaps they felt that because that was expressed in the meeting that they could just carry it out, not realizing that they would have to come back to the board with any change. So I think, from my perspective, I think the location of the windows as changed is probably actually better than what was proposed initially, but it's just a matter of process. So that is not really related to the dimensional issues, other than the one you pointed out.
I don't know, I cannot speak on behalf of.
Sorry, can you just say your name for the record?
I'm the original architect for the project. We sat down and.
What is your name, sir?
Norman Kerlop, Kherlp.
Thank you.
As part of the peer review process, can we come up with a acceptable design rather than going back and forward? I mean, I have in mind since one of the concerns was we've add volume to the building. So maybe we chop a certain section on one side and that side, wherever things are more sensitive, and come to a more acceptable scenario rather than going back and forward to the peer review and so on. We would like to meet with a peer review person or in-house person or whoever you suggest.
So can I clarify?
Yes, please.
So what you're proposing, either in line with or maybe as an alternative to a peer review,
Yes.
you want to propose redesigning the building.
Not extensively designed, but enough change to make it acceptable to the town.
I think what do you mean by the 24 or 26 square foot, that was an extra? So you try to get rid of them for somewhere else to
It's not so much the square footage by the look of things. I think it's more the volume of the building because the attic is less than 60%. What happened, the second floor became larger during construction. That made the percentage of the third floor less because you divide attic space divided by second floor space. So if the second floor space is bigger, the percentage of attic space becomes smaller. But that wasn't the concern. As far as I understand from neighbors and from our discussions, there has to be an effort probably to appease everyone, to reduce somehow the volume of the building by chopping certain one part from here, maybe some part another, so that the mass of the building is less. Now, what would be the final result in situations like this? It sometimes takes too many months until a decision is arrived because the process takes a very long period of time and it's always interrupted by some kind of a review comment. So if it's possible as an alternative with the peer review person or with our in-house consultant or whatever you suggest to work on making the building somehow more acceptable.
What do you think?
I think it's an option. I mean, it would help to know exactly what's there now.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to confirm if everything is within the zoning bylaw.
So maybe what we could do is we could do a hybrid of what we're talking about. We could maybe scale down the peer review just to do a determination of what's on site right now, what's built, and how that relates to the zoning bylaw. And then we'll take that information and have a subsequent meeting with you, maybe the chair, staff, and yourself to discuss any additional changes that you may be interested in or may be willing to make. That, obviously we're going to make that determination whether the current building meets all the standards. If we determine that some element does not, then I think that's the first thing we would discuss, right? And then anything else beyond that you'd be interested in making modifications to. Madam Chairman, do we want to provide any kind of input on the part of the public to maybe offer any suggestions, positive, suggestions for the improved design of the building? Or is that something that we would maybe allow after the fact? I mean, obviously we can't do it in a public hearing session, but we want to allow submittals for that or?
Well, that would be great.
Okay.
I don't mind meeting any of the neighbors, taking their comments or suggestions, whether they
but
work.
the neighbors, they don't want that. They want to demolish the
Well,
house. No, Mr. Norman. The neighbor, no matter what we do for them, it seems to me a few neighbors that they are objecting the whole project after we build it. And that's not something we can accommodate.
Right. Well, we're not talking.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Meeting and.
No, because he wants to meet the neighbors, but
No.
I would love to meet with the neighbors, but to be realistic.
We're just talking about taking constructive comments,
Right.
positive,
No
constructive.
problem with that.
Written comments that we can sort through. It needs to be a controlled situation where it's
I
public.
love what you offered me at the beginning.
Yeah.
The measurement and everything, we, exactly what we do. You can come.
We can do the.
We have no problem with
I
that.
would-
But
And also,
Okay,
with your suggestion, I'm with it too. I'm
I
not
have
against.
great respect for public participation process. I worked 10 years in London. We used to do that very effectively. We have to give a chance democracy to work.
I have no problem
I
with
don't
that.
mind, I know you're afraid, I don't mind
I'm not
talking
afraid.
to neighbors.
No, I'm not afraid. I built more houses in Watertown, and all my neighbors, they came and I listened to every single one. I'm not afraid of them.
Well, I'm
But
I think
I want
we
to, as you said, I want something positive contribution, not something not realistic. You said, oh, cut the height. I don't want this
We're
exception.
not, we're not opening
You know
up
what I
for a
mean?
free-for-all. Absolutely not.
Thank you.
So I think, Madam Chairman, what I'm hearing is that they'd be willing to allow for the peer review.
Right,
And then subsequent to that, for us to get together and discuss it.
right.
And then bring that back to the board.
And if in the meantime, people have comments they wish to submit to the Office of Planning and Building with suggestions on things that could be reduced or constructive comments. Thank you very much.
We are open.
Yeah,
I live in the
please.
neighborhood. I'm not far away. I live half a block from the neighborhood for 21 years. I'm not far away from them. I like the neighborhood and I want to make sure also they are my neighbors. Also, they are happy. So we walk the dog every day. My kids are playing in the park every day there. So I live down 86 Harvey Street. It's like 2 minutes walking.
Okay,
So I'm from the neighborhood and also I want the neighborhood to be happy, but I want something.
yep,
I've been stopping the building for almost 3 months. I didn't say even one word. I said, okay, no problem. Okay.
So I think that is a.
I think
good
that's a
balanced
great
solution
approach.
If the members of the board are willing for that.
We need to vote?
yep. Yep, so, do you want to make the motion?
Yeah, I would motion to support the process that Chris outlined. About peer review and a hybrid session where you will meet and that there will be an opportunity for
Constructive discussion.
constructive recommendations in writing by neighbors.
In a timely manner.
in a time.
And again, I extend my, sensitivity to the public. I know that this is another opportunity that they're not going to have to speak, that they came to this meeting, but once a redesign is presented, you'll have as much time as we have available for making any comments on the redesign. Hopefully it will be something that, the public will be much more appreciative of, so.
And a peer review that'll give you a sense of what is.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
So that's
Can we
my,
have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And good luck trying to write up what that motion was.
I know.
I'm sorry, I know you finished the meeting, but regarding the windows for the first and second floor, is that okay to start install them?
We will discuss that, but
Okay.
in staff's opinion, I think that they're definitely a better location. But we'll provide that report, their full report later.
Okay,
Okay?
sounds,
And we'll be in touch in the next couple of days.
no problem. I appreciate that. Because just they are outside and
Yep.
every day raining and sometimes storms, so they're falling down.
Sorry, may I ask?
Thank you so much.
Was there an in-house review on what was submitted? Is there a feedback on that one?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question.
I said, whatever you have as drawings, was there an in-house review?
Not a comprehensive one, no.
I mean, were there any things there that raised some concern?
Yes, yes.
this is a good, take it
Yes.
offline.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
What I would recommend is that you contact our office and I can meet with you anytime to discuss some of those things.
All right.
Sounds very good. Thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
very much.
All right, have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was a tough one.
I don't have a time coming back. I have no time frame
Oh.
for when this is coming back.
Oh, actually,
Oh, yeah, should we make that decision?
do we have to have a
You have to
time
continue it to
certain?
a certain date.
Yes, you have to continue to, I would put it out at least one meeting, maybe two. I would give us an opportunity to work on all of this. So I would say maybe if there's an August 18 meeting, I would put it to that.
Well, we were going to discuss whether we could move that to the 25th.
Yeah.
I think we said the
What's the
25th.
Tuesday?
I think that's the 25th.
So I would make
Chance we
it
could
to
move-
that meeting. If you're agreeable, everybody agreeable
Okay.
to make that meeting.
August 25?
So,
Is that also aligned with the Sherman Gardens timeline?
yes, barely.
Okay, that actually works better for the 25th.
Okay. So I've seen hands up and we aren't planning to take any questions or comments on this at this time.
This is a process question.
Okay.
The process question is, I've seen a fair amount of writing about issues pertaining to this. It's easy to ignore written commentary. Will the folks who have written to you, so I said
I believe they've all been posted.
They have been posted, yes.
posted, but can they come and speak to you? A whole lot easier to know that they've been heard if they come and speak and perhaps have a meeting. If you're going to have a meeting with the owners of the property and and the builders, I think that they ought to have an opportunity to speak and outline their concerns.
They're welcome to come to a public meeting. We have taken in all the comments, which is why we made the recommendation we did. We have heard the comments and we are trying to make sure that we can all feel comfortable as this project moves forward. So I think we've come to a really good conclusion for how to proceed while incorporating everyone's comments. There are a number of comments that are not related to things the planning board has purview over, like the stormwater.
That was the second question. You're separating out zoning from building?
We don't have purview over the building issues. Those are strictly in the Office of Planning and Building.
Which is here tonight. There are two members of that.
But we are in a planning board hearing. You are welcome to go to their office and speak with them.
Which is why I'm asking about the people who have raised all these questions and put them in letters, which are maybe 3 pages long. I think in respect for their time of putting all this information together, they should have an opportunity. Maybe that's
why don't
even say.
Yeah, anybody in the public is welcome to contact our office to request a meeting, and we'll do the best we can to accommodate it.
I think it needs to be more than the best you can. I think it needs to be certain.
Well, unfortunately, we have a lot of things that are on our docket, and we'll do the best we can to fit you into our schedule. We aim to try to do that for any individual who wants to speak to us. So all you have to do is just reach out and request it, and we'll try to fit it in.
Well,
no, this is enough. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is proposed amendment to the planning board rules and regs. Since we continued it from July 7th, and I don't feel ready to discuss those given that we need to move on to the zoning bylaw. So I would make a motion that we continue the public hearing on that to August 4th.
But August 25th.
August 25th.
You continue that one till August 25th.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the.
Okay. So Steve brings up, do we need to continue the the previous hearing to August 25th?
Yes.
Okay, so move that we continue case 26-16, 45 Chestnut Street to August 25th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so now we're going to skip to proposed zoning bylaw amendments.
So planning board rules and regs, is that being moved to continue to the 4th of August or the 25th?
25th.
Okay.
So the first zoning bylaw amendment we're going to discuss is the new section 10B Hills Crossing Overlay District. And I know staff has a presentation.
Well, I have a discussion, certainly.
Discussion.
Yeah, I got tired of developing PowerPoint slideshows for this kind of stuff. And hopefully the way I'm going to present it will be relatively easy. And I did provide you with a board report that really sort of summarized all of the different comments that we got back from you guys. And I do appreciate your getting the comments back to me because it really makes it easier for us to see where your thought processes are and try to reconcile them if there's any kind of difference there. Essentially, the first section of your, and I'm going to show this on the screen because I think it'll kind of help walk us through the process. Let's see, where am I? There we go. Okay, so can't change that. Well, anyway, issues that were raised at the June 23rd meeting when we first started talking about this. Several members suggested upzoning the FB2, FB1, possibly the other FB2 district, all for 6 stories in height. It was suggested to add 5 parcels along Channing Road to keep the Hill Estates basically to make the property that was the French property a little bit more viable. And so I did make some comments initially about that I thought that it was kind of deviating from our fairly well-crafted planning vision document that we were trying to create specialized sub-districts that were intended to have certain bits of character. And then, when we basically asked you guys to reiterate for this meeting what some of the concerns and issues and changes that you'd like to see, we did get a lot of feedback from you. And so the first set of comments, and I don't know if you had a chance to see this table. Did you guys have a chance to get to that? Let me ask this question. Did anybody see it at all?
To be honest, I didn't look at it. I read your memo, though.
Okay, so just to let you know what this is, and going forward, I would definitely recommend that you bookmark it. This is a table for all zoning edits proposed for Hills Crossing. And you can see in the last column, there is a status, and each of them right now are proposed. And whenever you, as a board, are able to vote on something that is in the proposed category, we can change it to discussed, rejected, approved, or edited. These are the ways that we can show the status of every single comment that is made so that there isn't anything lost. And the public can also follow this as well because this is available in a public shared folder. There's only view access. You can't change it, but you can certainly tell me to change it. And you can see all of your comments from that you submitted for this are in here. Okay.
If what I asked for them.
It's being recorded.
No problem. And no problem. We appreciate that. So the 3 or 4 categories that we have, building height and density, as I said, I really ask you to focus on the dimensional table and the map. Anything else, any comments you made beyond that is important and we've recorded, but really we don't want to talk about that tonight because we have to really address these specific issues so we can let our modeler go out and do the build-out analysis, which you know is a precursor step to a subsequent fiscal impact analysis. Okay. So the proposed edits that have come to light, Andy Rojas, a local architect, has recommended that for FB5, we consider allowing a higher height from 62.5 feet to 69.5 feet. That is something that will help them accommodate a building that they are considering building at a location along Blanchard Road, sorry. And so we thought about this, and one of the ideas that we came up with was keep the height the same in the dimensional table, but allow a potential, just a height bonus, not a story bonus of 7 to 8 feet in exchange for stepping back the 5th and 6th floors. So, you would get your 62.5 feet in height by right, but if you wanted to get the higher height, you had to agree to step back the building. So that's...
What's FB5?
Yeah, the map is up through F34.
Yeah, so just to show I'll take it down to the map. FB5 is what's now shown as FBHC 3 Hills Crossing Center.
Okay.
It's this red area here. It starts at the tracks and goes down to 258 Blanchard.
Hills Crossing Center.
Yep.
So the map's going to be changed?
The map's going to be changed, yes. And in fact...
You're relabeling the districts.
Yes.
Everything stays the same, but the label changes?
Yes, the labels will change. Yes.
I was wondering why there was no 4.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to standardize the FB categories so that we can reuse them throughout town.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it'll be the same categories like Belmont Center.
Yes.
Silver, got it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also part in the report. But just going back to that, let me just continue with some of the other dimensional issues. So both the planning board in the June 23rd meeting and Dan Barry separately suggested allowing 6 stories, not only in that FB5, but also in the FB2, which is the gateway, the FB1C, which is those areas behind Brighton Street, and then the community path as well, increasing redevelopment potential. Dan also suggested lowering permitted building heights adjacent to existing neighborhoods, particularly near Channing Road, Troy Road, and Newcastle, and possibly lowering building heights immediately adjacent to the community path, which would be that zone that would be strung along the community path. And then Elisa suggested encouraging clusters of taller buildings so that more open space can be preserved elsewhere in the district. So that's clustering to allow for that open space. There are some potential conflicts. Some members favor greater height and intensity in portions of the district. Others favor greater transition and reduced height adjacent to neighborhoods and the community path. Again, it's your call, obviously, but staff still generally feels that the districts and heights initially proposed, which were aligned with the vision plan, are reasonable, but we can see some validity and flexibility for increasing the heights of FB5 to 69.5 or 70 feet with a provision for the step backs, and then refining rear and side yard accommodations similar to that done for the BCOD adjacent to the residential properties on Pleasant outside of the overlay. Staff would definitely recommend at least the backlands of 54 Brighton, not necessarily the frontage along Brighton, but the backlands to remain FB1, because our vision for that area is to not be mixed use. Our vision for that area is to be strictly commercial. So that, you know, a lot of the businesses that are there now and like businesses can either be retained or enhanced to grow those business bases. So that we can have at least one district that's primarily commercial in this overlay. And we would recommend that those areas remain at 2.5 stories. And then, again, that's a repeat. The next thing is a repeat. So let me leave it at that and see what the board wants to do with building heights and districts.
Yeah, I can say the logic of what I've proposed is just you've got the tracks there, and south of the tracks is, I'm not sure if, I guess it's FB8C3, which is potentially 6 stories. So south of the tracks, Pure Code, Create Escape, for instance, that's going to be potentially 6 stories. But north of the tracks, where you have French Construction, Mahoney's Oil, Belmont Printing, TNT Service Station, and the 54 Brighton, which is currently a church, would be much lower. And I figure if you want to communicate to developers that we're interested in development, it'd be nice to send a message of, you know, not restricting how many stories they can have. They may want to build lower for all the reasons that have been articulated, and they can. But if they want the option to go higher, I think it makes sense to give them that option and see what the free market does. It's arguably the most industrial, it's more industrial
Right.
in north of the tracks than it is south, in my opinion, currently. With drop downs as you get close to any sort of residential. So Newcastle and Troy near 54 Brighton, the church. Actually, ironically, right now, you've got residential closer to the current FB8C3 6-story area in terms of Hiddenser Street, Baker, Hamilton, than you have in the north side where you're having the heights be lower.
Can I offer just a small thought on that? I just want to kind of convey what our original idea was for the community path district. The idea was to make it sort of intimate, to create something that didn't establish kind of a canyon over the community path. There is going to be a separation from the 6-story building on the Pure Code site by the tracks, the MBTA right-of-way, and then the community path right-of-way. And then you have probably a sidewalk setback from there. And the idea was to have 3.5 stories so that, you know, it could kind of have that less urban feel, more of a town type feel. And the other thing is that if you want to approach it that way, we really don't need that district. If we're going to zone to 6 stories in the community path district, we might as well just rezone it FB5 and just call it that. So it just depends upon whether the board thinks that the community path district as a fairly unique, element that is intended to be something that kind of mirrors what communities are doing in Indianapolis, in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, whereas Atlanta Beltline and some others that are actually creating zoning districts specifically to be located adjacent to their multi-use paths. And that's really what we were trying to kind of emulate.
I mean, I personally like that idea, so I'm supportive. I'm just curious if I do like your thought and the recommendation that this FB5 redistricted kind of goes higher. I think that makes sense. Have we made a call on the adjacent? There were parcels in the community path that we were considering including or not?
Let me go to the map.
Later in your report too.
So let me just make this a little bit smaller.
They lost a parcel.
So, others can't see, but I mean, so this one you say make higher, this one you say make a little bit more intimate, Is that the one we were discussing?
So, yes, so if you look at the kind of bump out right adjacent to the cul-de-sac, that kind of,
Is it called,
right,
this, these two?
no, down the green, the big bump out of the goods green,
Oh.
that one right there. Yep. Okay. So what we were considering is adding 5 parcels to the west.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the questions is, do we want to add those to the green? And the idea is that right now, that tiny little pipe stem that extends out to the west, parallel to Channing, isn't really developable at that.
Right, you can't do anything with it.
Right.
Right, and these are homes right now?
Yes.
And is any of that pipe stem, as you called it, being taken for the community path?
I believe some of it is, yes.
So that dimension's going to get skinnier.
Correct.
So this basically doesn't exist for function.
Right.
Functional.
Functionally,
But if you add this to it, it would be adjacent to the path.
Yes.
And you would, and then all of a sudden you have a path that's a little bit more contiguous.
Right. And there are some different options too. First of all, you could just lop off that pipe stem and say it's out of the district. That's one option. The option of adding the 5 parcels introduces how we're going to be sensitive to the existing residents at that end of Channing Road. What are we going to do as a buffer? What are we going to do visually in that area? So we haven't determined that yet, but if you want to add those 5 parcels, we're going to have to think about it.
And wasn't one of them on there once upon a time? Like I'm looking at an old version from end of May, that very first one next to the.
That was a initial recommendation because I believe the Frank French or Mahoney purchased that property. And I don't think they have purchased any more of those,
Okay.
but I do believe that they purchased the first one.
Okay.
And just for my own education without judgment, these 2 parcels are residential as well?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, because if you expand here, then they'd be opposite this.
Yeah, it's fully residential till you get to the other end
Right.
of Chin.
Okay.
So if you added the 5, as I see it, you're creating the possibility of someone developing it.
Yes.
And only if the other 4 owners sold.
Yeah, you have.
So it may happen, it may not happen. I figure zoning is pursuing possibilities, not certainties.
Right.
And by the way, with my proposal, I would leave alone your community path, this area here. I'm just envisioning, basically these parcels here and this guy all becoming, joining the 6-story. And I mentioned in the last meeting or maybe the meeting before that, but the community path, Minuteman Path, there's an 11-story building, and is it awning the right word that comes out of it saying like Arlington Housing Authority or whatever? It goes out right. I mean, one step and you're on the path, the bike and community path there. It's 11 stories.
If I can offer maybe another option that kind of blends what you're talking about. I do think that the linear area adjacent to the path up until about this point makes sense to do at the scale that we're proposing. However, I do think Dan's point is well taken related to the frontage on Brighton.
Yeah, I do too.
So everything facing Brighton could be the 3.5 stories here. Maybe it could convert to 5.5, the 6 stories here. Maybe we can, I hate to do split lots, but maybe we could track this property line down to here and then have everything outward facing at either this density or this density.
My only concern there is, and it's all possibility, but we have folks who apparently moved to Waterstone development in Lexington by the Belmont Country Club. And from the photographs I've seen, it looks like it's a 5-6 story type place. And we're considering senior active residential life, which I assume that would qualify as, maybe I'm wrong, but you just need a certain amount of space. But you could get something like that in this area that I'm talking about if you could get it up to the 6 stories. So especially where that church is, it's a lot of land there. But in all of this that I'm saying, when you get close to a neighborhood, you, as we did with the center overlay, you lower the heights as you're getting close to those residential properties.
Right, well, that's why I'm saying you basically split 54 Brighton here and keep the backland zone this way because that's our creative commercial. Because having it lower story adjacent to the residential, we think makes sense. And also it's pulled back away from the frontage. There's no retailing.
What's in that spot right now?
In this?
Yeah.
The church.
That's the church, right?
Yes, right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think certainly in the back, near the residential, go lower. But there's a lot of acreage right here that, if I'm understanding correctly, I mean, that would be, I think, critical. That combined with what you're going to have here could put in a water cell. And if you...
So maybe we could split the difference between lot 80 and come down like that. Because we have to have something viable here in the backland as well. Again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that this area and this area are primarily just commercial. Because we want it as commercial ratables. We're going to have enough residential throughout the rest of this district.
Well, again, maybe a medical office building could go, if you gave it enough acreage, you could get a medical office building in there. Maybe.
Sure.
And that would be lovely.
Absolutely.
You could even be able to put a personal tax on the medical equipment.
Right. So, but that's definitely a purely commercial enterprise that could be located there.
I think you just need enough acreage to make that appealable to a developer.
Right.
Now, I'm just asking if we're considering these 5, would we consider these 2? Because again, if you're trying to create opportunity for things to happen, you're already constraining this because you already have frontage here, right? This is going to be a funny spot, right? And so, you can do a lot if it's part of a bigger story, but it's a funny spot. You're not going to be able to do a lot with it, but you add this, all of a sudden you might be able to do more.
Well, the other argument would be to push Channing Road all the way through to Brighton. I mean, and create connectivity instead of a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. I mean, you'd end up with a light there, but.
Oh, you mean push this all the way through here?
Yeah. It was probably laid out that way, and then someone owns the property and said they didn't want to cut through. But that's why Belmont has such a wacky traffic thing going on, is we don't allow the grid to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do we want to?
I'm sure no one wants to go there, but I'm just saying, in planning terms, that would be the ideal.
To pass, right? I think there's a question as to what are the things that could kill this?
No, and I'm sure that's one of them, but I'm just saying it's actually good.
I agree with
planning.
I definitely agree with you.
But this doesn't make there be a road extension of Channing to Brighton. It's just, but someone would have to own all these lots, right? Then they'd have to come to the town and have a separate discussion, I assume. Hey, I'd like for there to be a road in here, and that would be a whole
Well, the
separate issue.
town would probably need to do a take.
Right.
Public right of way.
But it is something that, regardless of what we do here, I think is something to consider. No doubt about that.
I mean, all this aside, this one part of the rezoning is probably not super functional. Like, there's just a lot, this is, like we said, this is dead. This is kind of constrained, so it'll be what it'll be, and it'll be kind of odds and ends, right? So if you wanted to think about fixing it, you have to do something here. This one, there's enough going on, but this will be a dead spot.
I think if you're going to add those 5 parcels, adding those other 2 is not much more of a reach than that.
But I think I'd only add 4 parcels. Maybe.
If you added the 5 and the other 2, I would just end Channing Road short, make that a large lot.
Maybe add the cul-de-sac even before that?
I'm saying cut.
Oh, so eliminate the street rather than that.
Rather than having it go through, cut it off at Newcastle.
Correct. Interesting.
Then you could sell the street for income. Because it's town property.
That is true.
That's right.
So,
But then you need an easement for all the utilities.
I'm not.
Just saying.
That's not a planning board question.
so clearly we're kind of inching away from dimensionals and we're kind of focusing on the map, which is great. And I think that's fine. I think what
questions do we need to answer for you today?
I think what you just talked about here, whether we keep the gray here in
I vote for that.
or out.
I vote against.
I know, that's, we're gonna get to it. It was
Cancel
still,
each other out.
this is all, Hill's Estates property as well. So if this is removed, this would remain.
You're talking about removing Hill Estates entirely rather than like rezoning it into something else?
On the table is taking the gray portion of the Hill Estates, which is its own sub-district,
Yeah.
and removing it for now.
Ah.
Okay? I know that the Housing Trust voted in favor of that.
Of removing it for now?
Yes.
Correct.
Why?
Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think they have some concerns about what you would call naturally occurring affordable housing, which is the housing units that are there are at a lower market rate. And there's a concern from the trust and some others that we've heard that if we include this Hills Estates area in the subject in this overlay district, that provides an incentive to the developer and increases the value of the land, that eventually that could push out the existing tenants who have this naturally occurring affordable housing.
Michael, Matt, you're on the Housing Trust, right?
Yes. I mean,
If you want to come up and speak.
sure, I would say, okay.
Introduce yourself.
Michael McNamara, town meeting member, and also a member of the Belmont Housing Trust. I would say I really would defer any comments I make here, that the better person to ask would be Gloria, who I've spoken to earlier. But I did know when we had a Housing Trust meeting, we were talking briefly about that. We obviously don't want to step on your toes. We want to respect your process and respect how you want to view this. But I did know that there was some concern on the trust among a couple members, including, I think, the chair, who mentioned that there was a worry that if the area was redeveloped, there is sort of naturally affordable housing there that's not mandated. It's just sort of, it's lower rates generally. And that if we were to have a redevelopment and include that piece, there was a fear that the people who own the property currently would consider, well, we're going to fix up, and then the prices would rise and the families who were there already would be forced out. And then whatever would happen there would be more expensive than what's currently there. And it would sort of go against the idea of trying to make sure we have some harbor and trying to make sure that we have a diversity of people in Belmont. Gloria is a much better person to ask. Also, Gloria and blank on the name. Thank you very much. Judy is a much better person to ask on this than me. Also, I know we have a member who is really good, who works a lot with affordable housing. She'd also be a very good person to ask.
Rachel Heller.
Rachel Heller, sorry. So that's all. That was something we were considering. Again, please defer to more experienced members than me. Then I'm here. I just want to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at least staff perspective, and I do very much respect those who are advocating to keep this in, because I think in the long run, it should be in.
Yes.
But my personal and professional opinion is there are several complexities that we don't have time to work out. Those complexities include exactly what Michael was talking about, coming up with some text in the zoning that created protections for the residents. And I know it's not a perfect scenario, but what we're talking about is having whoever develops the property to find some way to facilitate a relocation, whether temporary or permanent, of the existing tenants. And then also giving them a right of return. And we've started some language developing that. But
I'm just, is that ever done? I mean,
Yes.
pragmatically, I mean, I don't,
It is done.
we just heard a presentation and they said, look, reality is we have 28, we'll preserve 28 units because we can't keep everybody because we have to do construction, right? I mean, I understand that. And if you don't, that type of provision is literally a death knell to anybody who wants to do anything ever, because it's an unfeasible covenant that you could never meet. So you'll end up with property that will never get developed ever. And, and when you see what happens with development, right, you can go from 80 units to 140 and end up with better outcomes if it's thoughtfully done and there are incentives to do it. But, when I hear, you have to relocate and you have the right of return and we're going to expect that the rates are going to stay as 2026, I just think that that's fairy tale.
No, I agree with you. That's probably an aspiration that can't be met. But what we were trying to do is trying to come up with something as close as we could, because this is a unique property.
Yeah.
Because as Connor said, there's naturally occurring affordable housing there right now. That's rapidly diminishing as units are being rehabilitated. And so what we're trying to do is come up with something that may not be 100% enforceable, but essentially what we've developed so far is that the owner would have to come up with a relocation plan or some sort of tenant plan that would address as much as could be legally enforceable.
So well,
Go ahead.
all right, I got two hats on because I also personally am in the world of affordable housing. They have no protections now. I mean, naturally occurring affordable housing is great because it comes with no restrictions. So you don't have to prove that you're income eligible to live in lower rent housing, but you also have zero protections from the landlord increasing your rent. And I know Hamilton is a company that is known to manage NOAA, naturally occurring affordable housing. But basically what that means is it looks like affordable housing versus regulated affordable housing, which in theory shouldn't look any different than market rate housing.
Right.
So I think you can kind of argue it both ways. I know the tenants are very nervous. I know a knee-jerk reaction in the affordable housing world is to be like, nope, don't touch naturally occurring affordable housing because we want to keep it, but there's no guarantees.
Right.
And I just have a more, I guess, logistical question. On the map, those front three green properties, are those part of Hill Estates too? So we would take that off too?
Nope.
We'd leave the green and take off the purple or whatever, the gray.
Yep.
How many units are in
400.
There's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
And it's not likely that the high-rise buildings would ever be demolished and replaced. They're 7 stories. They're not that old. I'm sure that the building needs to be significantly rehabilitated, but I would imagine that capital investment, there's no way to replace 7 stories with 7 stories that ever make it feasible, I don't think.
1976.
Yeah, it's 50 years old.
Yeah, but it's not that old that it's, you should be able to maintain it.
Right. So in the end, just in response to your what you said, we may not be able to come up with something workable for that is balanced, but we wanted to have the opportunity to try.
Right.
The other thing is that particular part of the overlay is the only one that requires a master site plan to be developed. And so we haven't really fleshed out the idea of how to do that yet. And so if we keep that in, we're going to be forced to have to kind of scramble to develop that on the fly. We may be able to do it, but what I'm suggesting is maybe remove it now and bring it back later once we're able to address these issues. Again, that may not be enough for you guys to change your mind, but that's what our rationale was anyway.
And we're hoping to bring this to fall town meeting,
Correct.
which is November.
November 16th. So anyway, those are the map issues. And, if we can somehow resolve that first, and then we can go back to the dimensions. If I can get that information from you guys tonight, we'll be in good shape with our modelers.
And can I just say, let me just point out how it's currently zoned. Because this is apartment house. And then this all, I can't tell from the map, is it GR?
Yep.
So the rest of it is general residence. Which is why it has low rises. I mean, I don't know which came first, the low rises and then the zoning or what. But
And did that make it into the 3A map or did not?
No.
no.
Well, as I see it, as far as the going to the west of Hill Estate, this area, I think I'm not sure if these properties here, I wasn't proposing to touch those, Chris, but is your opinion that if a lot of this goes higher, that these be included in?
I wasn't
proposing to do anything with those.
I think leaving those as a gateway, as a lower density adjacent to the neighborhood to the north is got to be the way to go. And maybe the properties that are right on that border of the overlay probably have some step backs and some step downs as well.
I think that makes sense. All I was proposing was, 40, 46, 50, 54A, 54 go to the 6-story zone, but with buffers, which I think is similar. I think we're kind of converging. Maybe the number of feet where the buffer kicks in is something that has to be worked out, and I'm going to be deferring to you. But it's just obviously near Torrey Road, Newcastle, Channing, and even if you include these 5 parcels, otherwise it's something that may not be developable. I'm hoping a medical office building or Waterstone can go in here, but with the buffers, even including if you feel strongly about it, by the community path, that's really all I'm thinking would be nice to create some possibilities. Without getting into part of it being FB1 or FB, it's different numbers, just buffers. Put it in, have it be FB is an 8C3, we're calling it now. FB 8C3, 6 stories, but with buffers. If the buffers are big enough and the buffers go to 3.5, it would be what you're proposing to. Obviously, I'd like the buffers not to be extraordinarily, big number of feet, but.
So can I bring up, while you're talking about buffers, the other buffer in the zoning that affects the map as well as the dimensions are the urban design setbacks required.
Are you talking about the sidewalks?
Yes, because those setbacks they're on private property.
We promised to address that.
Okay.
And we agree that what's been proposed in the zoning already isn't workable.
Okay, so I just want.
Yeah, no, we definitely.
I mean, you and I have discussed it a number of times, but I just want to be clear about that because that reduces the
developability, yes.
Developability.
Can I ask a question? Is the proposed zoning for this strip and this strip, height and everything else, is it consistent with what's happening in Cambridge on the other side of the street?
That's a pond where your hand is.
There's open space as you go.
So it's like this line, there's nothing here, there's nothing.
That's the train.
Got it, okay.
And where your hand is.
Like this is a rail, right?
But
But this red line.
That's
the border. And what's just to the other side?
Cambridge.
Right.
That's pretty much a swamp.
Yeah, it's open space.
Here, I'll show you.
I have to take.
But it's lower down, right? It's more towards Hamilton is where the Two Life property is going.
The rail.
Yeah.
There's Hill Estates. Your hand was like in the pond.
Okay, got it.
Steve,
I think, Steve, what you're thinking of is at the bottom of the
here is the B'nai B'rith housing project, which is 7 stories. And then way over here, beyond the wetlands, is the start of the Health Peak project.
Okay.
And I don't know what's happening with that, but everything that I hear, they're having a lot of trouble with residents. It's very controversial.
Health Peak or B'nai B'rith?
Health Peak.
Health Peak.
B'nai B'rith, I went by today, most of the building's gone.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
They're finally
Breaking
moving
ground.
along. Put in their stormwater stuff.
So does anybody else have any thoughts, either aligned with Dan or different, that I can sort of take back to Able City and finalize the map?
Do we have consensus on any of the topics, I guess is the question? Do you want to just tackle them one at a time? Or do you need the consensus? Or the feedback thing?
I think it's going to be good to be.
Have consensus.
Yes.
I think we have to decide dimensions we're hoping to do now, because later on we got to do use table, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, I think everything below the rail, we're good. Like, we're not changing anything there, right?
There was a suggestion to make that kind of, 39, 30, this one taller, right? What, was that your recommendation?
68 or 69, was that the
Oh, this,
68 to 69.5 feet instead of 62.5 feet?
Yes.
Right, that's, you recommended that, and I'm supportive of that. That makes sense to me.
in all
I've
of the
always
red
thought
area,
it should be a little
make it
tall.
taller.
Yep.
Without the step back or with the
With
bonus or
step
whatever.
back.
With
I
the,
like the step back.
I think the step back creates,
Step back.
it allows us to request, or not request, force them to create a step backs that kind of lowers the feeling of the height. Actually, what it's going to do is, even though we are increasing the height only by 7 feet, you're actually making the building look a lot less imposing from the top. And so it actually may be a benefit to us to get that additional 7 feet for those step backs.
And you could see it in the application for Sherman Gardens today, where they've done that in the spots that meet the other residential areas, and it really is effective, I think, architecturally.
So that was one recommendation, right? And you were, sounds like we're all good on that one?
Yep.
What was the other ones that you had? There was a few others.
Do we need to make a motion?
Want to make a motion on that? To, if I understand correctly, in what's sub-district FB,
well, no, we're calling it.
or now we're calling it FBHC3?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, see, we are really confused.
I got 3 documents and they got.
No, it's
just two different names.
It's FB-HC4.
No.
No, it's 3.
4 or 5.
It's 3?
Yep. But what we're trying to do is reclassify it as FB5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So what we're referring to as FB5, which is 6 stories.
Yes.
Move that we allow the maximum height to go to 68 to 69.5 feet with setbacks.
Well, step backs. Is it a 20-foot setback required? What, we should probably call for a dimension, right? Or not?
I think we'll have to research that for you.
Okay.
And if you have any issues with it, we can bring the vote back.
Okay, and
I think it probably will be at least 10 feet and then 10 feet.
Okay.
And since we can't get the acronym straight, is this Hills Crossing Center? That's the name of it, and whatever the
Yes.
letters and numbers are going to be affiliated with it.
Hills Crossing Center.
The center.
Hills Crossing Center.
Yep, okay.
So
So
we stay the same.
I really haven't wanted things to change between, to jump to a new iteration, but I think this is impossible to follow using 2 different terminologies.
Well, we can use the older terminologies for now, if that's workable for you.
Yeah.
Just the description is probably the best way to.
This is Hills Crossing Center.
Center.
Yes.
Hills Crossing Center. The red.
Yes.
Yep, Hills Crossing Center.
Which is equal to FB5.
So there was a motion. I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One down.
All right,
else
we
is
got
next?
something done. All right.
Okay, so you've heard from Dan. I completely understand his desire to maximize revenue.
Which topic were you on? Which Dan topic were you on?
The changing of the sub-districts to the north of the tracks.
Okay, so now we're north of the track. Okay.
So again, I think Dan is okay keeping these the way they are.
Yep.
But rezoning all of this to this.
And the possible variable, what's open on is if you add in those 5 Channing and maybe across the street, the 2 Channing,
Yep.
that just goes, I think with what I proposed, you'd have enough acres that you could see a medical office building or Waterstone. But if others feel that we call it pipe thing, that's meaningless without the 5 Channing roads, I'm all ears.
I think my only challenge with this, if I can just offer a kind of a devil's advocacy, is if you're rezoning this to this, what you're saying is that you're going to get retail on the ground floor and residential above. That's it.
Mhm.
You're not going to get your office building.
So maybe it has to be a separate sub-district that's purely commercial.
That's what this is. That's what this is right now.
Well,
I have to
want it to be taller, but then that makes the south of the tracks part taller, which I'm not pushing for.
The other thing is we're trying to get along the community path, the entire length, retailing, restaurants, services.
Right.
To serve the community path. The people that are coming through on bikes, on foot, we want them to patronize these stores. Oh, I'm sorry. And so that is the reason why we are trying to make it similar to this. The same height as here would be here. It would be ground floor retail. And then if you have 3.5 stories, and this is something else that, we were going to have to talk about. What my recommendation is that one floor above the retail had to be residential for the majority vote. But then any other floor could be a flex floor. It could be a residential floor, or it could be a commercial floor based on what the market at the time, determined. So they could flex it back as the market changed, but we'd have that one guaranteed retail floor and that one guaranteed residential floor. Everything else, particularly in this zone, would be flex.
So I'm sorry, the 1 floor residential would be on the community path?
Yes.
Well, you're talking about south of the community path, right? Because this.
Talking about in the red.
In the red zone.
This area here would be.
Now we're talking about,
Yes, it would be this zone here.
yeah, the light green.
The light green.
Residential there, 40, we're talking 40, just 40.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, 40 actually takes a lot of acreage there.
I mean, why 1 floor residential? I mean, 1 floor, I don't even know if that's a practical kind
We
of
have to talk
developer.
to the
Oh, sorry.
microphone.
I mean,
I don't know if it's possible to move that.
Yeah, we're trying to get closer.
so you're saying 1 floor residential here,
Yes.
is that a development practical request? Because I mean, if there's residential around here, then you say, okay, but does it need to be on the community path? I don't know what other community paths in other towns, I mean, you referenced a few.
Okay, so speaking loud, any district in this entire overlay that was strictly commercial, no residential,
Yeah.
is going to have a 2/3 majority vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a higher bar, much higher bar. By throwing in 1 floor of residential,
Got it.
you lower that
Got it.
to a simple majority.
Got it.
This district right here, if we have it strictly commercial, will probably have to be voted separately as a
2/3.
2/3. But because it's all commercial, and that's what the town is looking for, commercial ratables, I don't see a problem with that. I do see a problem in some of these other districts. But again, a lot of the different community path zoning that we've seen around the country does have residences above, retailing in the bottom.
Does a hotel have to go into a purely commercial sub-district?
Doesn't have to. Oh, you're saying that because
Is it considered strictly commercial?
a strictly commercial building. You could probably work it out so that you might have one floor of residences in it. You know, a lot of hotels have it.
Hotel, right. Marriott Residence Inn,
Yeah.
long-term rentals.
Yeah.
And that's suddenly, isn't that still commercial?
That's,
No, it'd be more like the Ritz Towers downtown.
We're talking uses now, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd like for this to result in a possibility of a purely commercial, like you're not gonna have a medical office building with one floor of residential.
right. I mean, I do think that, you know, we're optimizing for something. So you're either optimizing for, you know, I mean, I do worry to optimize for 50% vote and not necessarily provide the flexibility of what could be, but I understand it. I do, you know, I think a hotel that had a one floor residence requirement, I've spent probably 3 years of my life in hotels. I have never been in one or seen one other than a Ritz, right, that has literally a residential floor. So I think that would be a tough call, but.
We'd have to look into what some of the options are out there that are in the real world right now to model that. But again, I mean, I think, you know, you're talking about most of this, except here and here, being a simple majority vote.
Right.
And again, we want this to be viable. We see some validity of maybe keeping the frontage here something like this, or maybe even taller. We can bring it up this way, but then have the bulk of the path sort of oriented in the way that we've sort of visualized it in our vision plan.
I like the path.
And Taylor Yates would like to say something. That okay if I let him weigh in? Hi, Taylor. Oops, I thought I let him in.
Yeah, he should have permission to speak.
Taylor?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to weigh in on the quantum of vote question. So I've got my copy of my 4th edition copy of Town Meeting Time here, which on page 270, it says, it talks about zoning, and you can do, according to this, you can do by simple majority zoning that allows for multifamily housing or mixed use developments as of right in an eligible location. So because it sounds like you guys are wondering if you can allow hotels or if that complicates town meeting, and I think you can. You just have to also allow mixed use.
So the zoning has to allow it, but in any one development, you don't have to have both.
Correct.
Okay, that's helpful.
Allow but not require. That's one of my other proposals.
Yeah, right, okay. That's helpful.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like there to be the possibility of a hotel, a medical office building somewhere in this district. I don't think you can get those things if you require a floor of residential with no medical office building or hotel other than the Ritz will build there with that requirement. So, and you need a certain amount of acreage to make that something a developer would consider. Again, we're talking about possibilities. My anxiety about taking 40, I guess it's at 40 Brighton Street out is there's a big chunk of acreage you lose there. I mean, if there's a strong feeling that we want the community path to be required to be low, because in what I'm proposing, the developer can make it as low as they want. I'm just giving them the possibility of making it higher. If we could, you know, if this line here existing, and so we got this acreage, the most of what's now 40, 54A, 50, 46, and 54, with buffers by the neighbors, I think that would be enough acreage where you might get a hotel or a medical office building.
Dan, can I offer an option? What about leaving the base dimensions in place, but offering a density bonus for that district, which would allow them to get additional height, maybe in return for something? What, at this point, I don't know. But, you know, it's something that we could offer that option of building higher in return for some public benefit, like we were talking about with the center.
I also think, I mean, we're getting focused on uses and how tall that use should be, but I also think with a master planning mindset, think about what we want this neighborhood to look like. And no, just because we allow buildings to go up to 69.5 feet, they don't all go there, but what if they do? And like, I like Chris's idea of having the community path zone lower because that's creating a sort of friendly, welcoming, inviting, like ride your bike through Belmont and stop off and have your ice cream at whatever store. Like, you know, I think if you want to think about this whole area as sort of a neighborhood and not just building by building and use by use, because
We want it to be a homogeneous, essentially a ghetto of the same story buildings all the way through.
Right.
Would we consider 4 stories? I mean, 4 stories would allow, I mean, just the extra half story could allow, maybe with step backs also.
Absolutely.
But could allow for some of the uses you've been discussing by going, as well as residential or mixed use, by just allowing.
Well, along Concord Ave, where my doctor is, they're all probably 6 stories, medical office buildings. The developer's gonna have to tear down what's there. I think you need to give them height to make that economically viable.
Okay.
Maybe nice to get some commercial. The town's desperate. I'm only here to try to keep the town from cutting teacher pay or doing big overrides and pricing people out. So a lot of this mixed use could end up being a problem financially for the town. So I think we need at least some prospect, and a hotel would be lovely. I don't think, how much, a 4-story hotel?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be, I mean, we've done that math, right? They have to be 5 to 6, right? That was the analysis we did.
And again, nothing I'm saying requires that you go up that high. It's just giving the developer the option to do it. They can go shorter. If they want to go shorter, they'll go shorter.
So we could actually put the line right here and make the community path district down here and maybe make this kind of extend it down here to make a larger commercial parcel. And then again, along the frontage, we could do something that maybe mirrors something like this, but keeps this shorter. And that way you're still kind of creating that neighborhood feel. But you're also providing these opportunities. You're extending this down here, you're extending that down there. And maybe what you could do is this could, well, again, I'm just thinking that this also is going to create some more opportunities. And yeah, if it was kept at this height, I think this area right here specifically could be less optimized than it could be. But I think if this part fronts on this road here for a zoning that maybe this level, and then this comes down here and maybe allows.
Mm-hmm. That's perfectly fine with me. If what 50, where 54 is, that color was not, that purple or blue on colorblind. But at 54, 50, 54A, and 46, and I'm not sure where you draw the line on 40, but if some section of 40 becomes the same color as 54, but I'd like 54 to be 6 stories, a different sub-district, 6 stories instead of, what is it now, 3.5?
But with significant setbacks from the resident.
Absolutely significant setbacks, but 6 stories.
In order to make it a more viable parcel, could you take the ones out along Brighton instead, zone those taller, and still leave the community path?
Could you show me what you're talking about?
You're talking
the olive green.
Yeah, make those blue.
74, 6.
The olive green, that which one is street front common?
Gives this person or this developer a big space to actually put something. And then I think, to me, the challenge here is because a big chunk of this property is being taken, the strip is being taken for the community path. So you really want to make this a viable option.
So if you remove
development,
if you remove the green right here,
just these or.
The idea was that this was supposed to be a gateway district that was lower and also had retailing and services that fronted on Brighton.
Well, maybe you just do 60 then.
Yeah, if you remove
So there's some
60,
good
then you have a
frontage.
nice entrance into that property. Now it's a little bit like an alley.
Okay, so we take this color and take it from here down to there and across and then down.
And then is 60 include, I'm sorry, is it 60 or 80? I'm sorry, which one did we?
This is 60.
Right.
And then 50, and you're gonna go to the one below 50 or just 50?
50.
Okay.
Right. Because then you have at least one community path kind of frontage.
If you zone all of this community path here, you essentially, if you want to, you could even take the line and carry it across like that, but that kind of kills what's happening here. So what I would do is take it across here, up, over, and down.
But we need to look at what those dimensions are. Because we're really abstracting it right here. And I don't know if that's actually wide enough to do anything, provide parking.
It has to be a
all
functional
this
space.
stuff.
Yeah.
I know this for context, on the opposite side of Brighton Street where Hill Estates is, that depth is 140 feet.
Yes.
Wait, so 140 feet from the street to the grade? No, sorry.
Yep.
This is 140.
Oh, got it. That's 100.
And Chris, would your
The
idea?
light green is 140 feet.
But it's probably 50 wide, right?
Well, what do you mean 50 wide? It's longer. It's from the
140 deep, but it's probably 50 feet.
No, you mean from the rail line to Hill Estates is 140 feet. That's 140
That's
feet.
140 feet.
Yeah.
But if you're taking one of those out, if you're plumbing that out to that, then you have, this is probably 60 feet with what's left on the community path.
Right.
So maybe it's at least adding that 60 Brighton to the blue.
60, yes. Yes.
I just think we need to double check with actual dimensions, because
Do you want to vote contingent on those dimensions working out? We could work that out for you and let you know, and if it didn't work out, then we'd have to bring it back, but at least we would make an initial step forward.
sure, I mean, I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. I just think we need to look at the actual dimensions and make sure they're developable when we're telling them to put parking and, set back this far and this kind of stuff. I mean, I personally like the idea of having a lower community path facing district, but there also has to be access for loading, all those things.
Yes.
At MIT, the community path we were forced to agree to runs along all these industrial buildings, and that's where the gases are loaded and and people didn't want to walk down there because big tanks are there spewing all kinds of stuff, but the community path has to take trucks on it because that's where all the loading is. So we need to think through that too, because that's not ideal. It really stinks when you picture little kids on bikes and balloons and the whole thing that we all picture.
So what I'm getting at this point, I'm not gonna, look for one of you to make a motion on whatever map changes you want to look at, but what I'm getting right now is that the creative commercial district, the blue, should be 6 stories as well.
Just that one, right?
I'm okay restricting it to just the one we've been talking about.
Yeah, the other
The one south of the tracks, I'm not pushing for.
That's a residential neighborhood with like tiny houses in it.
I was just thinking of, if I'm hearing you correctly, Chris, and everybody, 60 becomes and we're including 54 here, correct? Do I have that right?
Yep.
And 50.
Right.
And a line,
Dimensions work
the
out.
line between 46 and 50 continues, so part of 40, and that little sliver of 54A.
Yep.
And we're not talking about these 5 properties on Channing or the 2 across the street, correct? Or
No.
Well, I would include the 2 across the street if you're gonna, if 54.
Yes, 2 across the
that would be helpful, these
Right.
2 right here, if this
Right.
makes sense to people.
Because that's one contiguous lot.
And I would just like that area to be the center.
Yeah. Yep. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to create a new sub-district. That's, essentially the same height as Hills Crossing Center, but that has more significant setbacks that are, buffer the residences that are nearby. Plus, we may want to have some different uses, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. Then the community path district, we could, I think I've heard people say that they are comfortable with going to 4 stories there.
Yep.
Okay. And then,
And the 5 parcels to the left, so that left part is actually functional.
right. And then ultimately, we're just going to have to make, the only other judgment call to make at this point is to in or out Hills Estates. That's, I'm not going to add any more of our perspective or the, housing trust perspective, but it's up to you as to whether you think it'll be valuable to include in this or a liability.
And do you want some motions? We could do one on
Do the
separate
motion
from Hill
for the,
Estates.
yeah, let's,
So I do 2, because we have the community path going to 4 stories. Do I do that, make that a separate motion?
Sure.
Yeah. So one motion could be that what's now 54 Brighton and 60 Brighton, 50 Brighton, 54A Brighton, and the line between the border between 50 and 46 Brighton being extended to the west, that all becomes a purely commercial sub-district at 6 stories with buffers near any residential properties.
And would include the.
Oh, it includes also the 2 Channing Road on the north side
Yes.
of Channing Road that we've been discussing.
Yep.
do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then we need another motion, if I understand it, the community path area, which is now going to be 46 Brighton, 40 Brighton with as this map reflects, there is going to be just as far north as that line between 46 and 50
Yep.
Brighton. And including the 5 Channing Road parcels on the south side of Channing would be 4 stories, and that's not purely commercial. That's mixed use. Are we getting into the first floor? Definitely commercial and flex space above for the remaining 3 stories?
Well, I'd make the flex above of a different vote.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So it'd be 4 stories, but mixed use.
Yes.
And it's community path, it's just whatever the community path definition is.
But
And would that also, would the 4-story thing extend to the
Yeah.
east side? So 45 and 37 Brighton would also become 4 stories?
Yes.
I'm sorry, there.
so when you add those 5 parcels, we're all imagining the retail facing the community path, but it's also in a residential neighborhood. So I just want to confirm that we're all okay with requiring retail. I mean, there's an underlying zoning. This is just an overlay. But just want to verify that we're all okay with that concept of someone potentially facing Channing Road with their retail establishment.
Oh, no, that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're basically talking about anything that's in the community path district. The retail would face the community path.
So that makes the Channing Road the backside, the rear
Backside
end
with
of
buffers.
their.
With significant screening and buffers, yes.
So the parking and loading will all occur from that.
If there is, yes, it's,
Yep.
the potential for it is there.
Okay.
And with buffers and screening before you get to that 6th property.
Yes.
On Channing, on the south side of Channing.
Yes.
So there's a lot in that motion.
No, I deviated. You made the motion and I
Your deviations are fine with me. I mean,
Well, I think if we define the community path district as commercial facing the community path, then that takes care of that.
And it's now, when we want to have a motion for 4 stories, including those 5.
Well, because it's already 3.5.
Right, essentially the difference between 3.5 is 4 is that you don't have the step back from the facade.
Right.
I mean, the 3.5 basically is the same height. But you basically allow a straight shot.
4 was just a recommendation in case there were other uses that could fit.
And so just saying. It's still gonna be 3.5 stories because from Channing Road, if we need a buffer, we have a setback.
Yes, there would be a step back, yeah.
But in some parts of this, you would be forced, you could have 4 stories.
Yeah, 4 stories, like
You're not near,
closer to 40 or whatever.
Yeah, right, exactly. We go again, and we just need a second.
I don't know, do we need to say that? Do we need to make a motion or we need to?
I think it would be better if you were to re-articulate the motion in full.
So we're gonna have a community path district that's gonna encompass 37 and 45 Brighton, 40 Brighton, with the exception that 40 Brighton is now gonna be shrunk a little bit. There's gonna be a line cutting it off as a boundary between 46 and 50 Brighton. And but 46 Brighton will be included as well. And a district that's going to be mixed use, up to 4 stories with buffers and screening near anything residential. And all the commercial in it has to face, well, for the 40 Brighton and 37 Brighton for sure, the commercial has to face the community path.
And you add the 5 parcels.
And we're going to add the 5 parcels along the south side of Channing Road as you get to the cul-de-sac.
And it includes the east side of the street.
Right, so 45 and 37 Brighton.
Oh, okay, sorry.
With the caveat that staff is going to review dimensions, and if there are any questions, they'll bring it back to us for a vote. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And now the only thing facing you is Hill Estates.
So let me.
You don't have to do it tonight, but if we're going to model
We have
this.
to do it one way at some point or the other.
So I'll play the advocate for a second. We can play devil's advocate. We literally have people who do this for a living. So that's always great. So I'm just a layperson. I always worry about kicking the can down the road for a problem that I feel like it's pretty hard to solve what you're trying to solve anyway. And I don't know if you're ever going to get to a point where everyone's going to be happy. And while there's 400 units and no one wants to put anybody, creating flexibility so that it could stay a residential area but be developed seems like a reasonable idea. And I wonder if we'll ever double tap and come back to it. I mean, and you're building an incredible community, an incredible opportunity with community path and everything. And then there's the big residential opportunity that's there, and you're not touching it. And you might be able to have 600 people living there, or it might be able to be developable in a good way, but you're not really allowing it to happen either.
I did see online here that it's for sale.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Again?
Hamilton is selling
It
it?
just says it's currently on the market. Close dates.
But I do.
Really? It just.
I know that they're marketing 2 commercial parcels that they own that they acquired as part of the overall acquisition. It could be that.
Okay.
But I would say that, I don't have enough insight to understand the master plan thing. I do think if you're going to have somebody come in with a development plan, it has to be a thoughtful plan. So I don't think we should just give them carte blanche. I don't know how much we need to, constrain now in the zoning versus not do anything versus just create some sort of covenant or some sort of requirement after.
But are you, Chris, can I ask, because I know your concern was like timing to create something thoughtful, because this is sort of a mini master planned area.
Right. The idea was that, for example, how would we want to suggest that the open space be provided? How are we going to deal with circulation on site? Do we want to suggest that they have a road system, an internal sidewalk system? Do we want little parks? Where do we want the retail and commercial to go that would be a part of the master plan? Do we want it to be only at corners? Do we want it strung along boulevards? These are the kind of things that we haven't really fleshed out yet. And I think that in order to make this a really special place, we need to think about those criteria.
So you want, the town will create this mini master plan and then a developer will have to come in and build accordingly?
No, we will create the framework for the master plan, and it will be up to the potential developer to create that master plan, submit it, and get it approved by the planning board.
Like, couldn't we just give percentages? We want X amount open space, we want X amount, like, because who knows what it's going to be in 50 years? Like, because let's, we zone for decades, not years even. What we might think of today could be not very attractive 20 years from now.
Well, I think we're not really talking design necessarily. We're just talking to have specific land uses and amenities that make this a really incredible place. And the more, generic and basic we provide those criteria, the more latitude, obviously, a developer is going to have. But sometimes developers with that latitude don't always provide what you might expect in a positive way. So I guess it's trying to hit that sweet spot. We don't want to be too prescriptive, but we also don't want to be so vague that they can put any kind of crap out there.
And what's nice about what they have now is they have a bunch of high-rise buildings and then some low-rise buildings that provide the green space and open space that provides relief from the tower. So,
right.
I mean, while it's not ideal and you could fit more density in there,
I think for example, I think one of the things that would be really incredible in this area is if it had a little mini town green or a little, like a boulevard strip like they have in the Back Bay, where you have a sort of a park between two streets that people can use for walking their dog and, whatever. It's having those kind of actionable green spaces that actually mean something rather than having some, piece of grass over by a culvert. That's really what we're talking about here, making it something that actually does something.
If we deferred, when do you think we could revisit? Like, if we didn't do it in November or the fall.
I think we didn't have to delay it any more than one town meeting separated.
So it wouldn't fall to the back of the line.
Oh.
It would be,
Absolutely, it would still be something that we find very important. It's just, we're going to do something a little bit more thoughtful. And, I think if we do that in good, with good intentions, I think the people in Hill Estates that are concerned about this, obviously we can't give them any guarantees, but at least they can see that we're trying to be more thoughtful about the whole program. And they might not necessarily support the program, but they wouldn't be in opposition. Connor, do you have any thoughts? I feel like I'm kind of sort of dominating this, and I don't want to leave out Connor, who's project manager.
No, I think.
And doing all the hard work.
No, I think you've covered a lot of the concerns that you've heard from the Housing Trust, from various public comments that we've held those sessions leading up to the public hearing here. I do agree. I think we could use some more specificity on what we, on crafting the master planned area for the sub-district. I think if that, to give us more time, that may work out.
If we take it, so you think it would be acceptable to remove the dark gray and leave in the green, even though that green is still part of Hill Estates?
Yeah, if this were an aerial image, you'd see the green is only parking lot.
Okay.
There is a small like maintenance building on the.
So that's 6 to 8, 4 and 55 is not really any.
No, 4 is a new 2-story building, which is retail on the ground floor and apartments above. And 55 is S&H Construction, Freiner Plumbing, and another business.
Oh, so it's not Hill
It's all
Estates.
commercial.
Okay.
I mean, Hill Estates, I believe, owns the property,
Yeah.
but it's.
But it's not residential.
Right, no, it's commercial.
Okay. Yep.
And then 6 to 8 has a commercial building on it, but it doesn't seem very busy because I go to the Pilates studio on 4 and we can park in their parking lot on the weekends in particular.
Okay.
So I'm in that neighborhood. But she got kicked out of where the new, she was over behind 730 Concord Ave, medical building. So that whole area behind is being rebuilt.
That's Cambridge.
Anyway.
So, Elisa, do you have a view on States District?
Well, I think, I mean, the people you hear from are the people who don't want to see immediate action. So it's a little hard to gauge just on that. I mean, I will say if it's more politically palatable to come back with a more fully baked plan the next town meeting, which as a town meeting member, I swear to God, I hope we don't go like every other month like we did this past year, but if we do, I'll be there. So I kind of hate to kick the can down the road, but I think politically it might be the thing to do if we want to get this passed in November. And it does give us a chance to flesh out a little bit more, what could potentially be there.
We're just trying to tell you what the staff constraints are at this point. I mean, if we dropped everything that we've got in our program, then we could maybe make it work. I'm sure we probably could.
Yeah, well, no, I know. This is clearly not the only thing on your to-do list.
We just want to be as thoughtful as we can because we think it's probably the most controversial and also the least commercially forward. It's going to really be the least commercial of any of our sub-districts. Going to be mostly residential, and there's no way to know, what those residential unit types are going to be if we redevelop that area. So that's another thing we need to think about as well, is how much commercial can we reasonably expect to demand in that master plan?
Right. Well, I would argue that the housing gives you those customers.
Right.
It does, yes.
I mean, that if you want to have a vibrant commercial neighborhood, you need people.
That's right.
Right, but in today's world of mixed use where there is retail on the bottom, right, and housing above it, in a high-rise environment, not in low-rise, right, you could see potentially opportunity. I mean, most of the stuff that's going up, and then the question is, can you make it reasonably priced so that it's, you achieve multiple objectives? Right.
But there are currently 400 people living there, right? So it's
400 units.
So it's probably more than that.
Yeah. So it's a big area.
Right.
And they're heavy public transportation users as well. From what I've noticed when I'm supposed to be focusing on my exercise. So do you have an opinion about whether to?
I think I'd rather kick it down the road a little bit.
Okay, I'm fine.
Dan?
I'm happy to defer to the staff and hopefully get to it soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get down too far.
I mean, I think I do agree with what Chris is saying, is that like all these others, we're really focusing on commercial development.
Right.
You know, a little bit of housing maybe, and Hill Estates is really truly going to be mixed.
Right.
And so if what we want to go in November is say, look, we're really trying hard to boost commercial, like this is really all about commercial, which brings us to that 2/3 threshold. But I think we could probably, I think most people in town want that. And we can, push Hill Estates out. And I think, because it's also, again, it's all just possibility. I mean, what's the, because all we can do is zone for it and say, y'all come. We can't, we're not the developers.
Of course, if we had an economic development person, we might have someone advocating, but a whole different discussion.
It's different committee.
Well, I also just don't want to do, I don't think it's right for the planning board to appear like we're only zoning for commercial. I think we're zoning for the right uses in the right parts of town.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make zoning decisions based on turning the world into commercial or getting the 50%, the different voting thresholds. I think that is just not the right approach to making zoning decisions.
And this isn't to be cognizant.
No, I agree.
And what we're doing is we're doing placemaking.
Right.
But what we're doing is around the edges of that placemaking are variables that we want to try to shape in the right way. And so I think this conversation has been extremely productive. And whatever way you guys want to go with it is fine with me. But I appreciate you listening to me and considering our perspectives.
Yeah. And look, it's a permission structure that we're trying to create in an area that everyone recognizes is right to do something.
Right. Well, I think to Thayer's point, putting the right type of zoning options in the right places is really the key.
Right. Because we want to be thoughtful about it. So I would move, take that as a segue, since it's really late. I would move that we remove the Hill Estates residential portion at this time with the expectation that we will return to it and come up with appropriate zoning for that state.
Second. Except for the part that's in the community path sub-districts.
And the ones that are facing on.
Well, just the estates district.
Just the estates.
Just only the dark gray.
So what's been
Only
defined
the
as the
dark
estates
gray.
district, right?
Only
Okay.
the estates.
Yep, got it.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But I just ask for one more determination tonight, and that would be roof form. Several people have said, why can't we reconsider peaked roofs or other roof forms? So the key to that is that it does offer variability in design. The downside is that it creates a higher building height, typically 8 to 18 feet. So, it doesn't actually matter for our modeling because we're only modeling floors. We're not necessarily modeling building height. But if you want to kick that can down the road for further consideration, plus my flex floor idea, we can.
I mean, I was wondering if we could allow something like that with a special permit.
I would like to allow it just outright. I think, every building that gets built today looks the same. They all have the varied, fronts, and it's all like, it's gray and it's white and it's a shade of orange, and they all look the same, and they have the flat roof, and and I think it would be really nice to, by right, let them choose what they want their roof to look like. Because I think, it's the variability that makes something interesting. So yeah, it's a little bit taller, but it's next to something shorter, and that's the way, a lot of the town looks.
A new development that I think looks really good, and I haven't looked up close, I've just seen it on the Mass Pike, but is at, in Newton, near the cinema where the shoe store used to be, near Trader Joe's on Washington Street. And they've just built a bunch of new buildings using their new zoning.
Is it barbecue place? Any more?
Yeah, it's between Newton Corner and, oh, geez, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
I lose my mind after about 9:30. But it's right on Washington Street, and they're 5 stories, but they're all slightly different. And I think they use the form-based code to get to that kind of thing, but they're all masked differently. And it looks.
Could I give you guys some homework? Could you guys maybe take some pictures or find some pictures of some roof forms that you like? And I will collect them and maybe offer maybe 3 or 4 variable types. Is that acceptable?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Does that sound good?
It's awesome.
Yeah, great, good idea. I like that, Eric, very good.
Yeah. All right, did we get everything? Just
Enough so you
okay.
can go up and you can you can get your
Okay.
analysis
Okay.
done.
Exactly.
You want to do the flex thing, Chris?
Say that again?
Want to maybe get a decision on flex?
If you're ready to address it quickly, I think so. If there's a lot of discussion you think we might need.
Well, as I understand it, outside of that sub-district we kind of created with the purely commercial, everything else would be mixed use with 1 story, ground level story, it has to be ground level, commercial.
Yep.
And then, and at least one level has to be residential.
Yep.
And every other level is flex. It can be residential or commercial.
Right. You can choose where that residential floor goes, and everything else is flex.
I think that's difficult to build because residential requires lots of bathrooms that run up and down through the building.
But it's up to them.
No, it's not flexible. Do you mean permanently flexible, or at the time of building, they can choose what else the building contains?
Well, the idea is that it would be permanently flexible because if the market seriously tanked for one use, you would have the financial incentive to retrofit that space for the other use. It's like what's happening now with a lot of office buildings in city centers that are going vacant for years. And basically owners are saying, we have got to do something with this space that makes money. Let's retrofit it for residential, and they are. And so.
But it's expensive and it's really hard because of what Thayer was starting to talk about with the bathrooms.
So can we just say flex space, you can go either residential or commercial?
Yeah.
And not require a level of residential?
If we can make that work.
If you have 3 levels of commercial and then you have to put residential, it means you're running piping, it's on a slightly different module. It's why they're having trouble. It's a slow process to turn office into residential because they're built in different structural modules with different.
Let me see what the consequences would be of allowing them to make it flexible for all floors. Let me do a little investigation.
And it might be a question worth talking to town council, because if I understand Taylor Yates' comment earlier correctly, would be allowing residential. And if I heard Taylor correctly, he thought from our town meeting time, 4th edition, that as long as you're allowing residential, you can still keep the quantum of vote you needed, a majority. I'm not sure if that's where we were with the center overlay, because I think that topic may have come up where we may have been required to insist
think-
that one level be residential to get to that quantum of.
That was my understanding, but I will double check it with town council.
I mean, and that was sort of the point I was trying to make is I don't want to make zoning decisions personally based on what the voting should be. It should be the right thing for the town, and lucky us if it's only a majority. If it's not, we should.
All right, I'll do some further looking into that.
I mean, personally, I'd love a world where the center with the 6 stories and a good chunk of this, actually now a bigger percentage chunk of the district, if someone was so inclined, I mean, Draper Labs is hiring 100 people a week and they need space. If they fantasy world, maybe in 15 years when lab space isn't so overbuilt, they want to come out here and they want to build a 6-story commercial building. I'd love them to have that option. My only anxiety is I'm not sure if legally that's the correct thing to do if we're trying to get to a 50%, which is another decision. But
Right.
But in that situation, you'd have to say, well, but you need 1 floor residential.
And I still think you can get an office building with 1 floor residential.
Yes,
All
yeah.
points, besides the points I thought of, your point about the whole plumbing and everything changes.
Right. And those labs have really unusual plumbing to start with. So then you're gonna add plumbing and the lab and a residential plumbing, forget it.
And it's a health
It's hard.
issue.
Yeah.
Well, I would move that we continue the zoning bylaw amendments. We continue to August,
Yes,
August 4th.
Yep.
And that's in person?
August 4th, yes, would be in person.
And
We have one new public hearing.
Hopefully the 25th can be remote.
The Housing Trust is planning to attend on the 4th to discuss both. Well, Hill Estates, I think we just decided was taken out, but
Discuss the amendments. 6:10, okay. The 25th has, sorry. I mean, I will be somewhere else, but I'm planning on coming, right, zooming in.
Right, well, and with any luck, the 25th will be just a Zoom.
Yeah.
So I have one question, since we have a housing trust and they're vested and we're all want the same outcome, right? Rather than say, well, we're not gonna deal with it, you can worry about it later. Is there a way to help them or have them, do a little homework to see, to help you when we do revisit?
I can certainly ask them, yes.
Right, I mean, get input, figure out what, what it could look like, just.
Maybe be the liaison to the Hill Estates residents and try to get some feedback from them directly that we can incorporate as best we can into what we're putting together. Just get a